What's Your Position podcast may contain adult themes, sexual discussions, and strong language. We want everyone to be educated, but we are intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. On today's Full Frontal, we're talking to Nicholas in person, Yay! Head of Relationship Research for Arya. You guys want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
Are you bronchosaphasia? Because damn, baby, you leave me speechless. You said you wanted a science joke. And now, with love from Huntington Beach, your host, Ashley Weller.
Welcome, fellow humans. Welcome to another Full Frontal from What's Your Position podcast, live in the studio in Huntington Beach. We have... Listen.
Speechless.
I'm gonna fucking break this down for you. So, on today's episode, we have a human being sitting here in my fucking face. His name is Nicholas, and he is amazingly wonderful and awesome. And the fact that he is here is like so mind-blowing to me. I follow someone named Nicole, the sex professor, on Instagram, and she is a goddess, and she teaches human sexuality at the UW. Go Huskies. And I saw a clip of Nicholas about a year ago with Nicole, and I was like, who is this amazing human being? I would like to be his friend. And then Mia, randomly, about 6 months ago, was like, hey guys, you should try this subscription service. It's for couples who want to be more intimate. And we were like, all right, we'll look into it. Sure. Like, we find each other things and send each other like ideas for sponsors and ideas for guests. And Kevin does a great job of finding guests and people. And here's Mia, like, you guys should try the subscription service. It's for couples. You should look into it.
And we looked at it. We're like, this is fire.
This is fucking ridiculously awesome.
And then I totally like took credit for finding Arya
You did.
in front of Nicholas.
Absolutely not correct.
And I'm all, that's not what
No.
I completely misspoke. I'm so sorry.
But we looked into Arya and we were like, well, while we get the box, let's also reach out to them and see if they would like have somebody just talk to us about Arya and what it is. Yeah. And they were like, hey, we can absolutely offer you these 3 people who could come on and talk about Arya. And I saw Nicholas's name and I was like, I want that one. That's who I want, because I know him through Nicole, the sex professor. And I couldn't believe that those two worlds somehow fucking collided. And it's like meant to be that you're sitting in my house right now talking to us about this amazing subscription service.
Yeah, it's small world.
So small.
A fellow Husky.
Well, I never went to UW, but I'm from Seattle, so I can say go Huskies for me, for sure. Arya, just an FYI about what we're fucking talking about right now. If you've been listening to most recent episodes, you have heard me do a commercial about Arya with a code that will get you a discount, and I will be mentioning it throughout the fucking podcast today. The code is WYP, and you can use it to get 15% off of your next Arya box. Please take advantage of this. You will not be disappointed. Arya is a subscription box service that takes romance, sexual intimacy, and closeness to an entirely new level. It's tailored to your needs. They put you through quizzes. You and your partner will each take a quiz to develop your erotic persona. It adds gas to an already fiery sex life, but can also bring the spark back into a bedroom. And each box is curated by sexologists and experts to provide you with the most top-notch products to enhance the experience and make it a much more pleasurable and all-encompassing experience. Each scene has intimacy-building activities. It has a concierge who texts you, and this is a live human being. A real person sends you text messages and asks you how your experience was.
Yeah, I think I text back the first time, and they text me back in like very like normal.
Yeah.
Plain, and I was like, oh shit, this is really something.
Holy fuck. Like, what?
It's not a robot.
And they also are taking their Arya boxes and their customer feedback and turning it into research-based utilization for future products. So Nicholas, who is sitting here with us, is a relationship researcher and the head of relationship research at Arya. He is a PhD student at the UW, go Huskies, and he taught sociology and sex at UW. His research focuses on the intersectionality of sexuality, intimacy, gender, and relationships, and his passion for research and education on navigating love and sex in relationship extends into academic journals and popular press outlets. He has been featured in handbooks and journals focusing on the social sciences such as Archives of Sexual Behavior and the Handbook of Global Sexuality. We literally have a fucking relationship guru in the house right now, and also somebody from one of the most amazing subscription services I have ever utilized with us. We are so honored to have you on our show.
Wow, I have a lot of hype to live up to today. Okay.
We'll find out that Ashley is definitely a hype man.
I am.
Okay. Well, I'm feeling that, and I'll definitely be sending it back.
Good,
away.
great. I love it. I love the dual energies that we have going on. Please, for the listener who is totally used to me being a golden retriever, can you please tell us what Arya is? What it is on the surface? How would you pitch this to somebody at a bar?
Oh, that is such a good question. And it's very difficult to do because of it being such a new area of anything in sort of sexual wellness or relationship wellness. But I would probably start out by saying that it's a lot more than a subscription box. It's more of an entertainment platform to get the ball rolling and exploring new erotic and intimate experiences with your partner, which includes everything from anticipatory sort of text messages that get you in the mood to erotica to a full-scale guidance in your exploration of anything new. And, of course, we do ship you all of the things that you will be needing to explore.
The goodie box.
The goodie box. Ooh, I loved opening the first goodie box. It was so
great.
exciting.
And you get kind of this nice pacing where each scene is supposed to happen every about 3 weeks. And so you get kind of a break in between scenes as you start prepping for the next one. And throughout that break, you're learning all this interesting info about what are you about to embark on? Why is this important to try with your partner? And how to customize that to your relationship. So I would probably say that, and then I would wrap it all in the neat bow of we're research backed. So everything that we try to send you content wise as well as product wise has some sort of vetting in sexology, psychology, sex education. So we really try to give you the full package.
As a sex educator, I feel a little ahead. When we signed up for this, I was like, this is fucking phenomenal, because not only do they include safe words that you can use, but they include conversation starters that you can talk to your partner about, tips, questions you can ask one another to get the scene going. They include different levels of the scene. So do you want this mild, medium, or spicy? Do you want this to be super sexy, or do you want to just do this in a very minimal kind of ease into it sort of a way? And they cultivate a fucking playlist that is fire. And that to me is just a cherry on top, because who doesn't love a good playlist?
Right.
And to have that added element of sound in the background, so you're not just kind of grunting and pouring wax on one another. Ow, burns, jeez, babe. You have this kind of seductive playlist that really moves with the scene. And they ask you, he was saying, they ask you questions ahead of time, and then you can talk to you. We text each other. Did you get the text from Arya? Did you get an Arya email?
Yeah. Hey,
the box is coming. Hey, this is what we're going to be doing. And then they take you through each scene and what you can expect and how to tailor it to your relationship. So it's not this overwhelming, here's a whip, tie them up kind of a thing. It fucking can be. But it could also just very well be massage and being sensual with your partner. And it's really a one-of-a-kind, unique experience that I honestly think is so important in relationships, long-term and short-term. I just think that the conversation surrounding intimacy and sex is just missing in our world.
Yeah, I think that a big part of Arya is normalizing conversations around relationships and the sex that you're having in them and the intimacy that you feel with your partner. I think a lot of the problems that people encounter is just in the friction of even knowing where to start or how to have those conversations with one another. And a big reason why we're here is to disrupt that and to give people access to tools that, experts already know of.
Right.
And we lean on a board of advisors who fall in anything from sex educators to relationship therapists to erotica writers.
Yeah.
You know, like we try to really have a holistic approach to this so that couples can start having more successful adventures together, but also feel really comfortable in those adventures, even if you're kind of pushing outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
And pushing outside of your comfort zone is imperative when it comes to relationships. As a human being who's been in a relationship for 19 years, I can attest to lulls. And there's always going to be sexual dips, sexual deserts, as they call them. And actually, sadly, 10% of marriages in America are sexless. And sexless is basically if you have sex less than 4 times a year. And 10% of marriages in America right now are considered sexless marriages. And a lot of that can possibly have something to do with the fact that we just don't know how to talk to our partners about what we want.
Yeah.
And not having time, having kids, having changed libido, taking different medications. Our jobs can be stressful. Life is stressful. And sometimes one of the first things to go in a relationship is intimacy and that comfortability that sets in, and stagnation that sets in. It's like, okay, well, we have 10 minutes now that the kids are in bed and before I have to go to bed. So let's have sex, missionary style or doggy style, and then we'll, call it a night. And if you don't come, I guess that sucks. Like it sucks.
And it's a lot of times because you're putting product over process, right? And so you're looking at sex as, well, we aren't hitting our frequency, or like there's a certain cadence to your sexual dynamic that always needs to occur, right? And you turn it into this habitualized part of your relationship, just like making sure the house is clean or the kids are taken care of or whatever the thing may be. And sex is this, I like to say sex is adult play. And if you think about how you used to play as a kid, you weren't worried about the habitualization of your play.
Oh God, I have to go play Barbies. Shit, I haven't played Barbies enough today.
It's so in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's
in the
free,
moment in that.
it's free form.
Right.
And if you can tap into your playful space, that's truly an erotic space. And your erotic energy can live outside of just, penetration or whatever your routine with sex has been, but it can live in the day-to-day and in all these moments that you don't even realize. Eroticism can be injected into a brush of a hand on your back, or just bringing your partner their favorite delicious eats and paying them a compliment. There are ways to adjust these dynamics, even in the day-to-day, let alone the bedroom, that people just lose sight of because life is really fucking hard.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And I remember I was on Zoloft for a while to help with anxiety, and I just forgot that sex existed.
Yeah.
I just forgot that it was a thing that we do. And I have talked about how much we had a whole episode on sex and depression and how medication really fucks with your libido. And the frustrating part is that you feel this external socialized pressure to, especially in a marriage, right? That, if you're not having, you see all these pop psych things on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever you are. There's if you're not having sex once, we're having sex once a week, or, oh my God, I can't believe we're not having sex more than once a week. And your significant other may be watching porn, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think porn can have served many fantastically useful purposes, but what it doesn't do is show what sex really looks like, or how frequent sex happens, or how ready someone is right in the moment. A lot of sex, a lot of this intimacy takes place over an extended period of time. And I think what Arya does so well is build this anticipation and build up this this sexual tension almost. And then you don't even have to have sex when you use the contents in the Arya box. It can just be fun. It can just be play.
Well, it's I love the analogy of continuing to date your partner, even if you are married. And what did we do when we first started dating? We planned an evening together. We thought about what we wanted to do, what sounded romantic, and then we got all this anticipation and excitement towards having that night. And I think what gets lost oftentimes is we relegate sort of all of this romance to Valentine's Day or these gestures that we're told these are the ways to make your partner feel romantic or like erotic, or this is how to have sex with your partner,
Yes.
right? And I'm like, you just need to go back to the basics, babe.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
go
No,
back
absolutely.
to dating
Yeah.
and you'll
Yeah.
find that anticipation, that excitement, because eroticism really lives sort of in that mystery and that tension between you and your
Absolutely.
partner.
Absolutely.
And that's what you do when you're dating and you don't really know your partner all that well. You're like anticipating getting to know them and learning more and
Asking
kind of,
questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think a cool part of Arya is that it's process driven in this same way that dating is process driven.
Right.
It's not about results, it's about having fun along the way.
Yeah.
And I honestly love so much that, and I was talking about this a little earlier today, but Arya puts ideas out there for you to take like a snack. It's like I built a little cheese board earlier, and there was some cheese and there was some strawberries and there was some nuts, and it was like suggestions. Like, here are some things that you could do. And it wasn't like Mia or Kevin or Nicholas had to be like, do you have any strawberries? Like, do you have
Right.
any crackers? Like,
Right.
all of these things were
Everything's
just
there.
out, and you can pick and choose what you want. And with Arya, it's like they say, here's the strawberries. This is what you could do with them. And you don't have to bring to the table, hey, babe, I'd really like to incorporate strawberries into our next sex scene. And you don't know how to broach that topic. You don't
Right.
know how to bring that up.
And then if you even if you wanted to do that, you're like, where do I get the things that I need to make that happen?
I want to drip wax on you. Well, what kind of wax? Like,
Right.
how do I even
can't just
know?
use a regular
You can't just
candle
use a
for that.
fucking candle. Like, you're going to burn your house down. Like,
Yeah.
how do you know the right temperature? How do you know
how to not burn
how to
your
not
partner?
burn your partner? Like,
Yeah.
and then also how to play with temperature play in general. Like, it's not just the wax play, it's the cold as
Yeah.
well. That it's like, so if you want to broach these topics, first of all, if you were someone who was like, hey babe, I really want you to pour hot wax on me, your partner might be like, the fuck? Where did that come from? But instead it's Arya saying, here's what you're gonna do.
Yep.
This is what's coming, and here's how you can go about using these
Right.
and it sort of alleviates that pressure from one or both individuals from having to admit that they have this deep fantasy that they don't know how to talk about.
No, one of my favorite user comments that we got was like, they've gotten into the habit of just blaming it on Arya.
Right? That's perfect.
And I think that's just like, we all need somebody to blame our desires on
Yeah.
so that we don't feel ashamed.
Yeah.
We can just kind of say, oh yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Arya told us to try
Arya
it, so I
told
guess
us.
we're,
So I guess
we're
why
gonna
not?
Guess
do
we're
it.
gonna have to.
I mean, we're shipping you the products. What are you
Right.
gonna
What, are you
do?
gonna not use them?
Exactly.
That's rude.
But I mean, I cannot imagine how many couples are having the same thought about something that maybe is taboo, maybe something that's way outside of what in their relationship would be normal, and both of them want it, but they cannot talk about it.
Yeah.
And you go to Arya, and they give you that in one of the boxes.
Yep. And they
And
make
both,
it
you realize
accessible.
you're like, oh no, we really like this.
Oh, yeah, no, this
You
is
wait, you
great.
like this? No, I like this. We both like this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it goes back to what he's saying about dating. You find these new novel ideas. You learn something about your partner. Even people you've been with for years, you will learn something new about your partner.
Yeah.
And when we learn something new about each other, we form these new neural pathways, and it like ignites all these beautiful parts of our brain and connects us in a much deeper way. Because I know you. I know exactly what you want to drink. I know exactly what your routine is on a day-to-day basis. I know when you're not in a good mood. I know everything about
Yeah.
you, but I didn't know that you were into wax play, or whatever the case may be. And now
Right.
I've learned this.
It is pretty fun.
It is.
Isn't it? That's like probably my favorite.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
In a 2019 study published by the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, the most common reason for divorce. The most common reason for divorce was lack of love and intimacy. That makes me sad.
Yeah, it should.
Sorry, I just couldn't wait.
Absolute perfect placement for that, by the way. Dr. Shannon Chavez, who is a Los Angeles-based psychologist who I also follow on Instagram and love, said that sexless marriages are shockingly common, and a majority of her divorced clients report having experienced its pain, saying in sexless marriages, a person can go so long without feeling desired or loved, and their self-esteem can actually take a massive hit from it. So if divorce is being caused on the majority by a lack of intimacy, can Arya bring something to the table that could potentially help shift the idea of whether or not you are desired or loved by your partner?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the major reasons I went to Arya, maybe this will help. The boys who created this, their names are Tomer and Offer. They approached me for a consultation in the early days, and no one else was on the team yet. And
are you employee number 3?
I'm employee number 1.
Oh my God!
That's nuts.
Where are they?
Wow.
Yes. So they hopped on a call, and they were given my number by somebody as like, yo, you should really...
How did they find you? Who gave...
my mentor, Pepper Schwartz.
Oh, yeah, I know
Dr.
that name.
Pepper Schwartz at the University of Washington, and she also does Married at First Sight. She's one of their matching experts there.
Oh my gosh, really? That's so funny.
Yeah. So,
It's a TV show, babe.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like looking at everybody. I'm like, what
show
the
is
fuck?
so
yeah, no, it's like season 20 at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like she's fucking kicking it over there.
Yeah, she is.
So she got in touch with them at some point because they went to her, and she was like, I'm busy, but like here's another person.
I'm doing Married at First
Yeah.
Sight.
I got things I'm doing.
Here's a phone number of someone who's teaching and in grad school and also doing other shit, but may not be too busy. Here you go.
Exactly. Somehow I find a way. And then they hopped on a call. I guess they didn't really want to take the call with me because they thought they were going to get some like 40-year-old, like kind of like buttoned up academic who approached sex in a very sterile way. Mm-hmm. And in the course of like a 1-hour Zoom call with us, it was, I think, during COVID at that point, I had a offer to start consulting with them. And I was like, okay, this sounds cool. And what really clinched the deal for me coming on full time was I discussed the story of where Arya came from. And basically, it came from...
Is this the origin story?
This is the origin story.
Oh, wow.
God, buckle in, everybody. Oh
There
my
we
God.
go. Inside information.
Hello.
One of our founders went on a vacation with his wife, and his wife was like, let's try something new. And he realized he had no fucking clue where to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he was like, I spent so many hours looking online. I was trying to like see if there was any service that even had just like bare bone information on how to explore sex. He was like, we were super happy. Our sex life was great. Our intimacy level was great. And I just wanted to try something new with my partner, but had no clue where to start. And then they decided to sort of launch this into a company. And when I learned that I could stop kind of like giving dating services my advice, because I feel dating services are kind of sometimes a nefarious business.
online dating services?
Online dating services.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
no.
a whole episode that I have not tapped into yet, is online
if you
dating.
ever want to talk.
I absolutely fucking do. Yeah,
so-
no, that's happening. Yeah, that tracks.
we were like chatting about kind of their concept of trying to help couples foster more intimacy and eroticism rather than, singles who are hypothetically looking for a partner, which is also a great enterprise. But I was like, wow, that's basically all I've wanted to do with my life, is to help the most number of people in relationships and allow them to access like love, sex, and feelings of like connectedness, right?
Yeah.
Thriving in
Yes.
intimacy.
And I was like, in order to do that, you have to put it on a fucking phone.
Yeah.
So when they approached me with this idea of like, let's build out a platform where people have a fun, engaging way to have content as well as product and some sort of interactivity with their partner as they're going through a journey together. I was like, that is it. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Okay, so this brings me to my stat of the day.
Oh.
What percent of couples wait a second. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'm gonna word this correctly. Okay. I hate you so much. Okay. There is only a specific percentage of couples who feel that they don't talk comfortably about sex that say they are sexually satisfied. So what percentage of couples who also say we don't talk about sex at all. We do not feel comfortable talking about sex. What percentage of those people also say that in their relationship, they're satisfied sexually?
Oh.
So not only do we not talk about sex, but we also are fine with it. Our lives are fine. What percent of people who don't talk about sex are satisfied with their sex life?
Say they are satisfied or actually satisfied?
Say.
Report being satisfied.
Yeah.
I'd say 17%.
17%. Mia is on the board with 17%. We play Price is Right rules, by the way.
All right, I'll go 25.
Okay, 25%.
I'd like to also contend you really chose violence by not making this like multiple choice.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I choose violence every episode. Okay. I'm also going to tell you a secret as soon as you give me your answer that's going to make you hate me even more.
Oh, great. I love hating. Wait, so
I said 17.
17?
25.
25. Oof. Let's go for 16.
16%. Okay. Oh, he screwed you over.
Yeah. You said Price is Right. I'm here.
You heard it.
I got the assignment,
You
folks.
heard the assignment.
Right.
Also, you don't get to know the answer until the end of the episode.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so the listener needs to guess as well what percentage of couples who say they do not talk about sex are actually sexually satisfied in their relationship. You will find out at the end of the episode. Thank you very much. I'm going to let you all know that you were all high.
Fuck.
So how, I know, right? Well, think about it. If you don't talk about sex, how the fuck are you sexually satisfied?
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Being communicative about your desires and about your needs, and also just telling your partner that you desire them. Like telling your partner that they're sexy, telling your partner that you want to explore things with them, that their ass looks good, that they look really sexy while they're doing the dish. God, you really do look sexy when you do the dishes. That's one of my
Isn't
favorite
that just
fucking
a
things.
turn
Oh
on?
my God.
I'm like the cook, so and I
Same.
hate doing dishes.
Same.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite. She's the cook and I do the dishes because she makes this amazing meal. And I'm like, okay, no, I can't. I gotta.
Yeah,
Gotta do something.
because we just spent 2 hours making you
Right.
Blood, sweat, and
Yeah,
tears.
exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
most of the time, right?
There's a healthy amount of blood in it.
Healthy. Healthy. Especially because I'm fast and like
Well, she cuts herself all
I can't
the
believe I
fucking
still have
time.
thumbs. To be quite honest, like the amount of times I
She
slice
cuts
my
herself
thumb is
and burns
terrible.
herself.
It's
Like once
so
a month.
good. I live in a
horrible.
big Italian family, and there are multiple people missing thumbs.
Yeah. Yeah. But is that because they're in the mafia or is that because of
Wow, no, this is a cooking related joke, but we can go into my mafia roots as well if you want.
stay tuned for the
Just be
second episode.
careful, like we can't get too
I know,
deep
yeah,
into
yeah.
that.
No
we're-
names and-
all of us
yeah.
are going to be out off the pier with cement blocks around our ankles. So you need to calm down. So when you get into Arya, the first thing that's going to happen is you take a quiz. You go to the Arya website, which by the way is Arya.fyi. Why? Why is it that, by the way? Why is it Arya FYI?
You're asking the wrong person.
Fantastic. It's Arya.fyi.
I have nothing to do with the domains.
I have nothing to do with the domain. But you take this quiz, and this quiz is like really fucking in depth. It isn't like a quiz that you would take for like an online subscription for, let's say, makeup or whatever. Like, what's your skin tone?
But it's really
What is your
approachable.
skin oily?
It's
No.
a really approachable, relatable.
But it asks questions about where your relationship is right the fuck now.
Yeah.
Like, is there any stress in your relationship? Is there any resentment in your relationship? Is there any like anything that could is there any trauma and anything that
Yeah.
could possibly trigger you? Like, these questions are so thoughtful. And then there's some really sexy questions too. Like, do you take the quiz and find out. But who came up with the quiz?
So I developed that.
Oh,
Yeah, I love all the praise. But it's a measured way to kind of get a fast temp check on your relationship, both erotically and intimately with your partner. I need to know essentially like, am I going to send you a box that's all about, fostering better communications around playtime? Or should I send you our like kinky as fuck box, right?
Yeah.
And like, maybe you're responding like, hey, I don't feel very safe exploring sex. And I also have pain and discomfort exploring sex. I'm not going to send you that kinky box right away, right? Like, I need to make sure that you kind of have a a incline to your exploration. And if you decide you want that kinky box, you'll get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to scare you off immediately.
Right.
And these questions really aim to get to sort of the deeper ego, right? The id inside of your relationship, because they're asking things like, what are you doing when you're most turned on?
Yeah.
Right? Or like,
are you being watched or are you watching?
Yeah. Are you ever turning down sex because you're just overstimulated?
Right.
Is it difficult to have sex if there's a lot of other things going on in your life, right? Like those types of questions allow me to hone in on what type of play you should probably start with.
Yeah.
And then more relationship questions help me hone in what type of content do you need to support you and your partner during that play style, right? And what we found, which is really kind of a buoy to me, that most people can overcome almost all of the things that they list having barriers to intimacy coming into Arya.
The shame or the stigma attached to it.
Like if you look at the ratings of success and we ask them like, did we successfully foster a night of play?
That's the craziest part too, is after you get the box, they give you a week and they say, did you have time to play with the box? If not, send us a text and we'll ask you again in a few days. So there's no pressure to do the box in any amount of time. But once you respond back and say, hey, we finished the box, they send you to this little mini Quizlet and they're like, how did you like this? What about it did you like? What about it didn't you like? Do you see all of those responses? Like, oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Oh yeah. So I run analyses on our user database constantly.
That is fantastic.
One of my favorite findings is that people who are really uncomfortable discussing sex with their partner, even who say, I have never discussed sex with my partner, have the same satisfaction ratings as people who always discuss sex with their partner.
That is incredible. That is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can throw another one at you that really like gave me a little bit of a like, intellectual orgasm.
Oh yeah, I love this. Oh God, sapiosexual right here.
Sapiosexual right here. That people who say that they experience pain or discomfort during sex actually have a very, very similar rating of our service as those who have no existing problem.
It was like 1 point off. I saw that on your State of the Intimacy
It's even
report.
less than 1 point, but for condensing information on a report, we did I think it was a 4 out of 5 versus a 5 out of 5, right? But if you look at the data, it's even closer to being the same number than that.
Which makes Arya to me one of the most inclusive. This is so unique, you guys. I can't explain to you the uniqueness of this. This service does not exist outside of this subscription. Yeah. But also the inclusivity that you have with people who have overstimulation, people who could be neurodivergent, people who have pain during sex. Every body type, every fucking body type, every ability. Like it's not just about kinky couples who want to be kinkier. It's about every couple, every body, every brain, every couple who wants to experience something deeper in their relationship can benefit from this box.
And I always thought about it like, it feels like a revolutionary type product. Right, because it does.
I feel like I'm cresting on a wave with you right now.
As soon as we started to learn about it, I was like, "Whoa, dude, this is different."
Yeah,
like this is, and it seems so obvious.
I know,
but no one's fucking thought about it.
Nobody's thought of it. You're like, oh, this all makes sense. Like, package things together, make scenes for people to explore something that they are uncomfortable, maybe broaching with their significant other that maybe both of them are thinking about. And then put that in front of them and then
ask them and poke them throughout the week. Hey,
and I think
did you do the thing?
The whole package that y'all are sending to with all of the information, and it's like, here's how to use X, Y, and Z. Like if you've never seen candle wax before, here's exactly how you're going to use it. I think that is so fucking important for people to like have that information, because it's like, yeah, sure. What if we want to start doing kinky stuff, but what if we do it wrong the first time and somebody get hurt?
And then we never do it again.
And then it's like, I'm never going to do that again.
And they show you, Arya shows you like what to and what not to do.
It's so
look out for this.
To have all of the info so you can do it correctly.
So you then get an intimacy mentor and you receive these weekly check-ins with and who is behind these?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we actually have our product manager. Her name is Avatal. She was the original Arya concierge. And she still is in a large part on there. But genuinely, you have access to our network of experts. So sometimes the information you're getting, whether it's Avatal sending it or whether it's Arya or other concierge, you are getting responses from like me or another sex educator or sometimes like some sort of coach, and we kind of all see the feedback. We have a whole channel where like when somebody has an issue that they're coming to Arya with and they're looking for help and guidance, it actually gets forwarded to everybody who can actually jump in and give advice.
Holy shit.
So you're not just talking to one person, even though you are having a conversation with somebody.
Everyone has input.
Yeah, they are outsourcing your problem to a range of experts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
even
impressive.
more blown away.
I know, right?
Now. And I love that one of the first questions that Arya asks is, do you want to focus on deeper intimacy or more sex and eroticism? Because it's going to make your box different based on which one. And we did more sex and eroticism, and that's probably why we got the
part
box.
of the majority. I'll tell you that much.
It's amazing the amount of questions and like how safe and comfortable and like enveloped I felt when I started to do Arya. So there's a statistic that I saw. After I give you this statistic, we are going to take a break. So Arya surveyed 6,000 people. Is this just because you collected data from 6,000 couples? Arya surveyed 6,000 people, and 90% of them said they were successful in making novelty a habit as a means to deepen intimacy and relationship.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, why is novelty important in a relationship?
Novelty keeps mystery and eroticism alive, and it keeps things fresh. And just like we said, continue to date your partner. This is the best way to keep that process going in and outside of the bedroom.
It is incredible. 90% of them said introducing novelty kept sex. God,
So cool.
please, again, go to aria.fyi and use my code WYP. Just do one. Just try it one fucking time.
Yeah.
You will thank you, and then Jesus, I hope you thank me so that I can then forward it to Nicholas and his amazing
You
fucking
can just
team.
text your Arya concierge.
Just
I'll
text
read
your
it.
Arya. He'll read it. You just say, Nicholas, thank you. Oh my God. When we come back, we are going to talk about husband Kevin Weller and I's first try with Arya. And then we're going to talk about our tips for introducing Arya into your relationship and how it can make it better. Join us on the other side.
Drowsy with delight, and then slipping back into feeling best, 'cause you are so damn fine. And I'll skip into the sunlight with you and skip back at midnight. I'll make it better for you. I'll make it better for you.
Is your bedroom getting boring? Does your sex life feel stale? Or are you just looking for a fun date night activity? Arya has got you covered. Arya's carefully cultivated Choose Your Own Adventure box is like no subscription service you have ever encountered. You and your partner fill out a sexy questionnaire to help the intimacy experts tailor your boxes to your comfortability, range of sexual likes and dislikes, and create specialized scenes for both of you to enjoy. Each box is hand curated with high-quality items to enhance your sexy scene and includes Spotify playlists, provides ideas for starting the scene, and encourages you to have boundaries, safe words, and aftercare. And throughout the process, your personal concierge will text you, email you, and get you excited for your sexy night in. Whether you're looking to increase your kink or just become closer to your partner, Arya has a scene for you. Visit aria.fyi.com and use our code WYP15 at checkout for 15% off your first 3 months and try on a new side of your sensual self. That's WYP 15. Arya, your playful mentor for all things sexy.
Hi, it's me again, I'm back. Let's talk ASAP. Do you have the time? Let's talk ASAP, baby. Hurry up, don't be lazy. ASAP, baby. Hurry up, don't say maybe. 할 얘기 다 한 줄 알고 빨간색 눌러.
Welcome back, fellow humans, to a full frontal of What's Your Position. We are joined by relationship researcher and employee number one, Nicholas of Arya, Kevin and I's new favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's just in love with this entire situation. A couple of things I had to ask just as a user of Arya. How many scenes do you have?
We literally just had an offsite in New York. I flew here right after the offsite ended.
I cannot believe
Yeah,
it.
no, literally.
It's so ridiculous.
And so we have a whole host of another 15 to 20 scenes to be launching over the next 3 to 6 months.
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
God.
Excited.
That is so exciting. Okay. And then who makes the fucking playlist?
Oh my God. Okay, so her name's Athena, and she is a goddess
Yeah,
in multiple
definitely.
ways.
We love you, Athena.
Athena. She is our head content writer, so she also is in charge of doing a lot of the narratives and guidance for us. Those conversation prompts that you mentioned
Love
earlier.
the conversation
They're
prompts.
amazing. They're one of the number one things we get feedback on, positive feedback, as well as the playlists. The playlists are a huge part of her job as well. Do you want to walk through the process of that?
Could you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So before I came here, I kind of knew this would be coming up. I asked her to give me like this detailed list of how she goes about curating a playlist, and she did not disappoint. I think I showed you
It was like 3 full scrolls on your phone.
Yes. I was like, okay, I'm going to distill this.
Love the details, Athena. Love them.
So she basically first tries to get into the headspace, the vibe, the ambiance of a given scene. What does she think this scene implies in terms of like tonality, right? Then I guess she goes on to these like Reddit and online forums, looking at other people's experiences of music,
That
right?
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's not just looking at it through her own lens. She's like, let me find out what's going on out there.
What are other people you?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then she'll cold play just a bunch of different pieces of music that she hears, adds them all to a mock-up playlist that will have like 30 to 50 songs on it to begin with. And then what she does is actually go through very meticulously and play the beginning and the end of each song. And she wants to make sure that each of these songs doesn't kind of have some strange transition in it.
Sure.
And kind of fits that mood at least to begin
That
and
is
end
fucking
with,
in
right?
depth.
And then she goes through and removes songs after that lengthy process. And we love a lengthy process.
Hey-o.
Hey. And then she will play through the entire playlist. And she tells me all the time, she's like, I'll listen to it cleaning, I'll listen to it working, I'll listen to it while I'm working out. And so after a few playthroughs and changing sort of the sequencing of the songs, she actually will test out all of our scenes for us as well, because she is the content writer. So
Right.
she
Yeah.
wants to make
Right.
sure that she can do what she's writing as well. And after testing out the scene with the music behind it, if it feels like a go, then we have a playlist.
I mean, what a
job.
The more we talk, the more I'm like, man, I want to work for Arya.
I want to work for Arya.
And I know it's not
God.
all like a walk in the park. You guys actually have to do some like, difficult research or work and, have to put time in. But I mean, for the most part, I'm like, fuck. I mean,
Sounds like such a cool
this is where I
environment
wanna-
to be in.
Right.
It's a really cool vibe.
Talk to us about your favorite thing to say. Say your favorite thing to say from 7.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Yeah.
How do you fucking get this shit?
my
Like from the God, like the things that you said. And as soon as you answer this question, I'm going to tell you, well, we're going to do the tip of the day. And then I'm going to tell you about Kevin and I's first box. But holy shit, the things that you provide in these boxes, this isn't the Shein of subscription boxes.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely not.
The thing that we got, when I tell you what, it probably, if I would have gone to any sex shop, it would have been $100.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and in the early days when we first started out, a lot of these retailers that we were going to, or producers that we were trying to get our inventory from, just were like, one, we have no clue what you're even asking us for. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to send people scenes with a collected box of curated items, and
Because what you guys do didn't
exist.
yeah, and so it was actually really slow goings in the early days trying to get those boxes filled, because people were skeptical and didn't think that something like Arya could work. They were like, well, people are going to get tired of it. Like, you can only send so many different toys. At a certain point, they're going to be saturated and done.
Right.
We proved them wrong. And we just got really creative and learned how to think of sex as a very holistic process that can include so many different tools, and whether it's an actual legit sex toy or it's something that you may not think of as a sex toy but can be included in your erotic
So
play,
we
right?
haven't gotten the sensation play one yet, but I know that there are things in that box, because my friend got that box, that aren't sex toys. So tell us a little bit about that box, because I don't think we're going to get that box for a while.
I mean, you're talking to the source. I can make this happen.
Nicholas, I was wondering if you could just send me that.
No.
What's in the sense and sensation play box?
Okay, so you get basically a pinwheel, which is this really fun kind of spiky device that you just wouldn't inherently associate with your sex life. You'd associate it maybe with some sort of like massage therapy practice.
Physical therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you get some sort of vibe device, and you also get a blindfold. And so like it's a very great box for those who are kind of new to exploring but don't want to start with a lot of intense communication practices, but want to kind of jump in and start playing. Sensation play is where it's at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love sensation play.
We do.
I love a little mix of impact and sensation play. So I like both of those things mixed together. So
And to your point, though, what I find fascinating about the Sense box is that we send you a legit sex toy. It's an expensive sex toy,
The Vibe?
too. Yeah.
yeah, it's expensive.
And
I don't
that's
even own one.
not even close to being the favorite item in the box.
That's so crazy.
That's so cool.
The pinwheel is
The
the favorite.
pinwheel.
Is
The
favorite.
pinwheel.
I want a pinwheel.
I want a pinwheel.
You know what I use on Ashley was the face rollers.
Yes.
The jade face
Yes.
rollers.
We started using that
Yep.
in Sensation Play.
Well, put it in the
Put it in
freezer.
the fridge. Yep, I got you.
It's a
I know.
It's a good one.
I think we've sent face rollers at a certain point. Too.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, I was like looking at it one time. I'm like, I can do something with this.
Because it's like you can't just, like, to their point, you cannot just saturate a couple with dildos and handcuffs and
'Cause that's what people-
vibrators,
that's what
because
people
that's
think.
where people
Right.
go
Yeah. Right.
immediately.
They're like, oh, big dildo.
Yeah.
Oh,
vibrator,
Yeah.
handcuffs, done. I've now engaged in kinky sex.
Right.
And it's like, there's so much more.
you get that box and you're like, I would have never bought this
But
stuff.
to the
I
point
would've
where
thought
like
about it.
people aren't just doing this for kinky sex. They're doing it to become closer to their partner. And to engage in sensation play does not have to involve penetration
Right.
at all.
Yeah, and at Arya, we're very much decentering penetrative sex as something that we're trying to push on people. We think that it's really important that you get in touch with your eroticism rather than in touch with just like general like penetrative sex that we all are raised to think of as like traditional, like direct to the point kind of sex, right? We want to break that narrative, because once you in your relationship and in your own body can decenter penetrative sex as the only route to success in your sex life, then you have already done like so much of the process to expanding eroticism and intimacy in your relationship.
And as the lovely, talented, wonderful, beautiful, glorious mentor genius of mine, Lori Mintz, likes to remind us, penetrative sex actually results in orgasm less than like 20% of the time for people with vulvas.
Yeah.
But like 95% of the time for people with penises. And she really loves to talk about how foreplay should not be called foreplay. It is sex. You are engaging in a sexual behavior, and foreplay can be the whole meal.
Yeah.
You can do foreplay the whole time.
I'll give you another one-liner. I always say foreplay begins as soon as sex ends. Like, you're never not in foreplay.
Yes.
Right.
And that's really based on sort of Emily Nagowski's work.
Emily.
Emily.
Can you hear me?
She's somewhere in this room.
She is. She actually is. She is in this room.
Oh,
She's
I
up
see
on
her.
my bookshelf.
I see her.
We see her.
We have similar libraries.
We do.
So she really broke ground with defining responsive sexual desire, right?
The gas and the brake.
Exactly.
Love it.
And defining it as something that's so context dependent.
Yep.
You are turned on not just because you touched your genitals at some point or your partner says, I'm horny.
Yeah.
You're turned on because you had a great day at work.
Right.
You're turned on because your partner's listening to you when you come home and you need some support tonight.
Yep.
You're turned on because your surroundings are sensual and textural and relaxing.
Yeah.
So if you have all of these things, and I should say it can work in the opposite direction as well. If you don't have all those things, you're either inhibited or able to have better eroticism in your relationship.
Yeah, which is why I feel like Arya is so amazing, because you get this box and you don't have to open it the day you get it. If you're both, Kevin, we just got the Muse box and I can't wait to open it and I can't wait to listen to the playlist Athena. But Kevin had a cold, and so we didn't play with the box right when we got it. And we keep talking about how we're going to play with the box, and then one of us is tired or one of us doesn't feel well or whatever. And there's no pressure and there's no rush. And when we're both ready to use it and utilize it, it's going to be an amazing experience. I'm going to get into my tip. There she is, of the day. So, tips for using Arya to deepen your relationships. So, the first thing I did was go onto Arya's website and scoured through all of the blogs. I read all the things. And I love them all so much. The eroticism is amazing. The blogs are fantastic. The State of the Intimacy report was literal orgasm food for my brain. It was we're going to talk about that in a second too.
Ooh, excited.
The first tip we have is to try new things together. So Arya, the experience revolves around trying new things with your partner. Countless studies have found that trying new things together has a positive impact on your romantic relationship. A study published by the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that when couples try new things, they report feelings of sense of relationship growth and security. And this doesn't all the ways have to be about trying new things sexually. You can try new things like going to a new fucking restaurant or trying out a new, like every time Kevin and I go to a different country, we do something we've never done before. Yeah. So we've been paragliding, we've been ATVing, we've been ziplining, because when you try a new thing with your partner, it just instills this like connectivity between the two of you, and you can go back and remember that new novel idea. So why is it so hard for people to try new things in their relationships, and how can Arya help this process?
That's a big question, because relationships have their own dynamics. There are universal dynamics, but you may be experiencing symptoms that make your dynamic look a little bit different than other people's, right?
Yeah, for sure. Kids.
But I think like
kids.
One reason is that you're worried that you're going to signal something's wrong in the relationship by saying you want to try something new.
Right.
And so one suggestion may be, hey, babe, I heard of this thing. Want to try it with me? Rather than saying, sex is meh. Can we like do something else?
Can we fix it somehow?
Right.
Exactly.
Can we spice things up? I'm bored.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Terrible way to say it.
And I think on the other side of that is, you also don't want to hurt your partner's feelings. Like it's actually oftentimes a process of trying to be a good partner that you're not trying these new things.
Right.
But in reality, you are doing the exact thing that is
opposite,
preventing you from feeling that connection with your partner.
Right.
And I think like just on a practical level, it's also new. So you don't know where to
New is
go or
scary.
how to start.
Yeah.
New is scary. However, in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, they found that engaging in new activities with a long-term partner is a surefire way to ignite passion in the bedroom and ignite sexual desire.
Yes. Yeah.
So trying new things might be scary, but when you try something new with the person you trust the most in your life, it actually can create these deeper bonds and these deeper intimate moments with that person.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Like, it's fantastic.
And you're familiar with the research on misattribution of arousal?
I sure am, as a matter of fact.
So we definitely included that in the framework of how we approached Arya as well, is that basically when you try a new thing, right, you get a flood of all of these exciting hormones in your body.
We like to call those here at WIP our favorite hormones, the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin.
I relate to
They
that.
are the holy trinity of WIP.
Yeah, like, wow, we should come up with some sort of prayer.
We should go all the way down to our genitals.
all the way down. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like turn around for mine
It's like,
too.
it's the nipples, the crotch,
Yeah,
and the asshole,
yeah,
and that's how you do
all
it.
of
That's
them.
the holy trinity.
But like that research found that simply by doing something new, if you're around somebody when you are doing something new, and all of those favorite hormones come into your body, you tend to actually attribute those feelings of bliss to the person.
To that person, and it's part of social facilitation as well.
Right.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Okay, next tip: communication. Communication. I'm going to make a shirt that says hydrate, masturbate, communicate.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like those three things
really
and
good.
lubricate. We got to add
Yeah,
that.
that's a good one.
Yeah. Hydrate, masturbate, lubricate, communicate.
This is a new thing,
It's a new thing. We're coming up with shirts. A small study published in Contemporary Family Therapy found that couples who spend more time talking to each other reported higher relationship satisfaction and felt closer to their partner. It is one of the things that I preach the most in all of my classes, whether it be social psychology, human sexuality, or senior seminar where they're writing papers. I'm like, you need to fucking communicate. The more words you use, the better. Like it is imperative to talk about your feelings, to talk about your desires, because what ends up happening when we don't communicate with one another, even as friends, as coworkers, we develop resentment. And as a podcast that we have not done yet, as the wonderful John Gottman states, resentment is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
And then it also builds from something that's small that we can have a really quick conversation about, really easy.
Yeah.
And then it turns into something way
we all start
bigger.
making assumptions. Everything starts getting convoluted. You start taking things personally, which is another horrible thing that you can do. Communication, especially about your sexual desires, your sexual needs, and your libido in a relationship, should be something that you do on a regular basis. Kevin and I have a State of the Union that we do once a year.
Oh, that's so
we check
hot.
it. It really is. Where we check in and say, hey, what's working for you?
Yeah.
How have you? We should probably do it more often, to be honest.
mean,
Once a year is probably not even enough.
we do other stuff.
We do. We do other stuff. But it's something that I feel needs to be in place in relationships. And Arya really helps facilitate communication. And how did you guys figure out how to not only communicate with your customers as the concierge, but how to get them to communicate with one another? Because right now, you're sending separate text messages to people.
Yeah. So I think that a couple of things, right? Like you said, unexpressed needs are just resentment in the making, right? And so we know that from your curated profile, there are some things you're looking to explore. And maybe we can see that your partner's not really interested in exploring those things, but we try and bridge that gap. We try and figure out the things that you both want to explore, and then we can kind of give you prompts and ways to communicate on those bridged areas, right? And that at least gets you to a place of connection over exploration in your eroticism, right? And it can lead to more successful conversations going forward.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
And I think also the big thing that people forget, and I try to forefront throughout the Arya process too, is like, you're here because you both want to be happy and you want to make each other happy. But the truth is, the only way to know that you're making your partner happy, that you're fulfilling their needs, is for them to tell you
Right.
they are feeling fulfilled.
Can't read each other's minds.
I'm going to give you a big fat fucking news flash, listener. Your partner has no fucking clue what you're thinking at any given moment. I can look at Kevin sometimes. Also, I am big, floppy, fun, and want to play with all the humans like a golden retriever, but on the inside, I'm a chihuahua, and I'm constantly anxious. And sometimes I'll look over and be like, what? What happened? What did I do? What's going on? And he's like, I'm just thinking about potatoes.
I love potatoes.
I just was thinking about how I really want an ice cream sandwich and we don't have any, and it makes me sad. So it's not me. I'm not a hideous creature from the deep of the lagoon. And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with you. But if you don't ask, or if you don't just start telling your partner, hey, I really want to explore a more sensual side. I really wanted to explore exhibitionism. So we did, because I was like, I love being the center of attention. Hello, all of the humans. And so we did, because it was, and that's not Kevin's favorite fucking thing. And it
became my favorite
thing. It might have, but he tried it because I said, I really want to try this. I really want to see how this goes. And it went exceptionally well. And but we didn't have a lot of education about it ahead of time. And had we had, I mean, I'm sure Arya doesn't have necessarily an exhibition box, but had we had,
you may be surprised.
I mean,
here's a ticket to a sex club.
So here's what I would like in my next box is the exhibition box. And then I would like Sense and Sensation box.
Okay.
The next tip kind of plays into that, which is to push your sexual boundaries. So when we're talking about romance, we're talking about intimacy, we aren't just talking about the communicate and the push yourselves and the try new things. You really need to get outside of your everyday, we're going to have sex in missionary. It's going to last for 5 minutes. The man's going to come and the woman's going to be frustrated. Like we need to get outside of the idea of penetration. And I love that Arya is really trying to push away from this homogenous, like hetero, normative script of penetration only, and really explore playtime. We're gonna paint each other like that. It may or may not end up in sex. I don't know, but we're going to paint one another. And to me, that sounds like more fun than just penis and vagina. And pushing your sexual boundaries doesn't necessarily mean penis and butthole. It could mean paint your partner's vagina with a flower, or paint a penis on your partner's stomach, or drip wax on your partner. And I think that Arya really helps individuals push their boundaries, because our sexual appetites, our sexual palettes, our arousal templates, they change over time.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true.
You are not going to be the same person sexually that you were at 22 as you are at 24, at 28, at 32, at 42, at 52. We have to be able to do this dance and acclimate to ourselves and to our partners' changing appetites. How old is the oldest couple you have on Arya right now? I feel like you know this answer.
We definitely have couples who are in their 70s and 80s.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah. And we don't see any marked difference in their satisfaction or success on Arya either. So, my mentor, Dr. Pepper, who I brought up earlier, she and I some of my early work looked at aging and sexuality, and we coined this term called sexual longevity, because we're seeing that boomers are really the first generation to go into old age and want a revision of those sexual scripts.
Sure.
And there's this notion now that you can be sexually fulfilled and explorative no matter what age you are at, and it may even be even more important to explore outside of those normative lenses as you get older, because of physiological changes, right? Because of lifestyle changes,
menopause,
you go through, right? And when you have this open mindset towards sex, whatever age you're at, you start being able to kind of bring that also to all aspects of your life. I can't tell you how cool it is when I see people who are on Arya explore sex and then come back and be like, this hasn't just changed our sex life. Like, by pushing our boundaries in the bedroom, it pushed our boundaries in all of the places of our relationship that we were looking to kind of grow in. And now I'm looking at her in a different way, or he's touching me in a way that I've never felt touched. And it goes to show that sex, for better or worse, gets its sticky little tendrils in every part of the relationship, right?
Absolutely. When we talk about pushing boundaries, there's Justin Lee Miller did an amazing book called Tell Me What You Want, where he discusses fantasy and discusses like what the most common fantasies are for people. But when you asked couples what they wanted to explore, the 3 major categories that emerged were making sex more adventurous. And that's super broad. That's a very broad statement. Adventurous for one person is different than adventurous for another. Bridging sexual desires. So I feel like that is a huge category of people where one person may want to engage in impact play, spanking, and one person may want to engage in more making out and closeness and intimate relationships, and how do you bridge that? And then extending and expanding foreplay. And can I just applaud the human beings who want to extend foreplay? Yeah. This should be your entire meal. Like penetrative sex, I would love everyone to just take a moment and like abstain from penetrative sex for a while and just see what happens to the depths of your relationship and how much it changes when you start to play with one another instead of just sticking it in. And it's revolutionary.
Yeah, you center pleasure rather than penetration.
Yeah.
And doesn't that sound kind of amazing?
It does.
That's fun to me.
I think that is probably one of the biggest tips, is to change up how you think about sex. It doesn't need to be penetrative. It can be so many things.
At the conference that we went to, there was a poster there about somebody did research on if surprise sex is more, what's it called? Pleasurable than planned sex.
I know
and they
this
found,
study.
Yeah, they found that planned sex is just as or even better than surprise sex, because you get that anticipation.
Interesting.
You think about it.
Yeah.
You know.
That
planning,
makes so much. That makes so much sense.
When you break it,
is a huge
when
thing.
you take the title out at its core and you say spontaneous sex is no more pleasurable than planned sex, you're sitting there going, wait, really?
Right.
But when you break it down and you realize why, it's because you're getting texts from Arya.
Yeah.
Right.
I get to
It's
spend
because
all day
Nicholas
thinking about
because
this.
Nicholas is in there going, hey guys, how is your box? Like, what else do you want to play with? Like, it's an amazing concept that you can be kinky with your partner, and kinky doesn't have to mean ball gags and bondage. Kinky can mean anything. It can, though.
It can, though. I'm replacing some orders for some ball gags right now, actually.
Are you getting like 6,000 ball gags in the next shipment? Because that would be fantastic. That would be amazing.
So there is absolutely a lot to be said about that. But I think my biggest note on the spontaneous versus planned is that when you plan it, it's intentional. And just because sex does have a very biological component to it, doesn't mean that it just happens naturally. Like, people assume that it should just happen naturally, and that if you're compatible and you love this person, it should happen naturally and be mind-blowing every time. But the truth is, like, your best work is very rarely just something that happens. You don't just stumble upon your greatest contributions to society. You worked at them. You had intention behind them. And so, like, take that attitude to your bedroom and see it blossom.
I fucking love that. The other,
mindful, sorry to
no,
mindful too, and like being able to experience sex in your body really, I think is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That to me is something that has shifted just on a personal level as I've gotten older. When I was younger, sex was very visceral. Sex was very like topical almost. Like it was just it
just happened.
It was fucking and it was great and I loved it. But as I've gotten older, I've realized I need to focus on what's happening in order to enjoy what's happening. And I get more pleasure out of sex when I take time to process in the moment what sensations I'm feeling.
Right.
And I really think that something that is attributed to that is getting into more kink-based play where one person is the focus and you are feeling certain feelings and experiencing certain sensations, and you are really honing in on how those make you feel and what that does to your body. And it's a mind-blowing realization when you actually are like, wait a second, I can actually feel sex like all through my body, not just like orgasm, but like the whole body.
I mean, I remember when I was younger, I mean, the whole thing was like, when there was girls that I would hook up with, it was like, hey, what are you doing? Come and pick her up, watch a movie, maybe like 30 seconds of floor play.
This was before Netflix. So this was TiVo and show.
But I mean, it is so true that like, as you get older, you start to be like, oh wait, that's not really what sex should be or can be. And I was like, man, over the last like 20 years, my understanding of sex has changed so much. Mm-hmm. You know, because before it was so mechanical almost. It was like, let's do this, we're horny, and then we're done.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's a narrative that I hear, especially from like cis men all the time. Mm-hmm. And it turns sex into a performance of masculinity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
You have these scripts around what it means to be a good man or a good lover or a good partner, and oftentimes they're not really compatible with what we know about female sexuality.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh my God.
And so like when we look at cis women, it's almost like you're working with two different sexual strategies, right?
Yeah, and they work against one another.
And they work against one another. And we're finally starting to rewrite that narrative. And I'll do a shout out to like a lot of queer theorists because I am very much grounded in a lot of queer theory. I'm also part of the queer community, and going to Arya, I definitely took that as a major source of inspiration behind everything we did, was decentralizing heteronormativity and basically being like, what can people who are in, for all intents and purposes, cisgendered heteronormative relationships gain from taking a queer perspective on
fucking much.
sex?
So much.
Right?
Yes.
And
I feel like the same can be said for the kink community. I feel and the consensual non-monogamy community.
Yes.
What can monogamous relationships take from consensual non-monogamy? Oh, I don't fucking know. Boundaries,
communication, planning.
Yeah, right.
Safe words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
So much. And also understanding, I mean, this is a tangent, but also understanding the gradients of love, and that you're going to experience different types of love with different people or the same person at different times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like queer theory, queer communities, and really queer studies should be something that we are incorporating more into our lives, because there is so much that we as heteronormative cisgendered individuals can learn about communication and about prolonging sexual activity. Again, the glorious and fabulous Lori Mintz makes a point in saying that it typically takes a heterosexual male 6 minutes to orgasm or 6 minutes to reach his plateau, where it takes cisgendered heterosexual women about 20 minutes. Yeah. But lesbian women have sex for hours.
Yeah. And they actually have lower sexual frequencies.
Right.
But they don't report any reduction in their sexual satisfaction, right?
Exactly.
Because they have a fluid understanding of sexuality and eroticism. And taking that into any relationship is going to help, whether or not frequency is important to you. Yeah. If you are able to detach from, I didn't hit my quota, or I'm not having enough sex.
I'm not having as much sex as my friends.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Or I'm here and you're like, oh my God, we're having sex half as much as our friends.
Yep.
Or
like something's wrong.
What you're defining as quote unquote sex too. Like I know.
What's the operational definition?
Exactly. And so many guys are like, wait, I haven't like fucked her in so long, or I haven't gotten a blowjob in so long. And I'm like, well, could you maybe look at sex a little bit more and expansively and play? Because then you aren't feeling this like performance anxiety or this performance like deficit on your part because you're always playing.
Yeah.
And that is part of your sex life.
Yeah. Yep. That's such a beautiful fucking way to look at it. All right, I'm going to give you my stat of the day, and then I'm going to tell you about our first box. So because we were just talking about sexual satisfaction within individuals, I wanted to do this before I forgot. What percentage of couples who said they do not talk about sex comfortably also said they are sexually satisfied? The winner, everyone, is Nicholas. Damn it. Give me some horns. Give me some motherfucking horns. You're still too high.
I figured.
It's 9%.
9.
Emotional, damn it.
9% of couples who feel they don't comfortably talk about sex also say they are sexually satisfied. Listen to me when I tell you the key to a satisfactory sex life with your partner is fucking communication.
Yep.
If you cannot talk about your needs, your wants, your desires, your likes, your dislikes, your icks, your yeses, your nos, you are not going to be satisfied sexually. And this goes for any couple, whether you are heterosexual, whether you are gay, lesbian, bisexual, non-binary, trans, you have to communicate about what your needs and wants and desires are. And fucking Arya can help you. Also, I fucked up my code earlier. It's WYP 15. My bad.
We can edit that.
It's fine. There's a 15 at the end of it because you get 15% off. Genius. Let's talk about our first box, babe. So when we got this box, when we did our quiz, we answered our questions the same. We probably got an A+. We probably got 100% on the questions. That's fine.
Yeah.
We absolutely did. Nicholas is going to go back and look at all of our answers and be like,
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, you didn't. We got Playing with Fire, which you have told us is the most popular box that Arya has curated.
So not in terms of, I think it's the most popular amongst our team members.
Oh, okay.
And it's definitely probably our one of the highest rated boxes. It's a blockbuster box.
It was, so I didn't know what to expect. We got this box blinded. Like we went into this, I didn't do any fucking research. We just said, let's fill out the questionnaire and see what the fuck happens. And we went to Whistler and it was negative 10 degrees. So we couldn't go outside. And we brought the box with us because we were like, what better place to do something fun and novel than on vacation in someone else's bed? And we got our box. We waited to open it. We did an unboxing video. I was floored by the quality of the product. So first of all, there was a massage candle, which smelt like heaven. It was not sticky, not waxy. It melted immediately. It made the skin super soft.
Yeah.
It was really fun to play with. There was a red candle that didn't get too hot. So that I think is key because it wasn't just a regular candle that has like super hot candle wax. It actually was like temperature gauged.
And it actually shows you in your scene how to blow it out first.
Right. And wait.
And then
Drip it. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, and then they just
pour it while it's on fire. And you're like, whew.
Yeah.
And then it came with a fucking glass dildo, y'all.
Yep.
Like a real one. With like the piping and the spiraling. This thing would have been $100 easy at Lovers. Easy $100. And we put it in the freezer and did not use it for any sort of penetration whatsoever. We used it on the spots that we put the wax. And it's crazy. Like we played with this box and neither of us ever mentioned fucking. It was literally just massaging one another to the playlist. And like I went first and like we looked at the curation of the scene. They were like, you can either do it just one person or you can take turns. And we were like, well, let's take turns. And so I went first and he gave me a wonderful massage and then dripped wax like right down the center of my we do have the pictures. Yeah. I felt very sexy and sensual and like the candles were lit. So it was really nice. And then I did it to him. And it was like super fun. The pictures were not as fabulous, but that's fine. But it was like this really great play. Like we took turns playing with one another and we used the glass to like cool down the spots where the wax was. And then like we cleaned each other off and then we took a bubble bath. And like
that was pretty great.
It was the most romantic like thing that we had done in a really long time. And we're pretty fucking adorable most of the time. So for this to be like a super romantic experience for us kind of blew my mind because I honestly thought, okay, we have to be ready to play with wax and then fuck right away.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened.
Yeah.
It was not at all what happened. Now, when we were talking about Arya and building up to the box, we definitely had some mind-blowing sex before that. And my friend, who also signed up for Arya, said that just in anticipation of her box, they had some of the best sex they've had in years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you put sex on the table and you both are excited about what is to come, you're going to come a lot more.
Yes, you are.
And the cool thing about, I love that you mentioned what we call, like, very cutely, the glass pleasure wand.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. It's a glass
It's
window.
a glass. I like that.
But
That's right. That's what you call it.
Yeah,
the
it's
glass
a-
pleasure wand. But I think what that does is it helps cis men use it in a
Yes.
way. Because I was using it on his nipples, to cool down his nipples. But and Kevin's very open and he has absolutely zero fucking discriminatory things.
Yeah.
He was not worried about it whatsoever. But I can absolutely see somebody.
Some men be like, no, that's not coming anywhere near me.
Exactly. Get that the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Totally.
Even
And
if I
it's-
look at it, I'm gay or whatever.
Right.
You
Exactly.
have friends
No,
that you
fan-
go, right? And
exactly.
you're like, dude, it's okay.
It's a pleasure wand.
Right.
But it's pretty.
It's so
It's so pretty. We have people message us all the time. They're like, I have it displayed. in my
I'm
house."
gonna display it. I'm gonna display
Yeah,
it on my
I'm surprised we didn't bring it in here.
I know, we should have. Damn it.
Display it. Yeah.
We should.
It's cute.
super
And
cute.
that's an Arya exclusive toy as well. So we
nice.
get those made. And yeah.
I love that.
It was amazing. We also have the Muse box waiting to be used, which is paint by numbers. No, I'm just kidding. It's it's sex paint. You paint each other and you roll around and you fucking get all pretty. And then it comes with a black light. It literally comes with my teenage 1990s years attached. There's a black light in the box.
Do people ever talk about combining the boxes?
Oh, yeah. So, fun story. We used to actually have a very strict kind of curation flow because just out of necessity of not having enough scenes and boxes to ship people in the early days, right? And so all of our scenes actually would include modules of how to combine each other's
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
toys and
Cool.
everything. But as we walked away from that and the curation algorithm got a lot more complex, you could be going between, 3 different scenes that another couple would just never even get, or they'd get it in a different order, whatever it is, right? So instead, we start getting all this feedback from our users that they're like, we just started making our own scenes using all these toys, which is the whole point of
whole
Arya.
point. Yeah.
It's like you're getting creative and you're playing together. It's beautiful.
It's not just this one time where you get the box and then you're like, okay, we did a good job. We did it. But it's maybe like, hey, that was actually really fun. You want to
do that again?
Or do you want to take
bust
the
out
other
the
box that we used before that and combine those two things? So that sounds pretty fun to do in that way.
Yeah, you become a more skilled, learned lover.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is that just like with anything else in your life, you're able to bring those skills and transfer them across your different play styles.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, well, now I exclusively know how to drip wax when I'm doing wax play. It's like, well, no, you've learned about temperature play, erogenous zones. You've learned about massage. You've learned about how to include cold as well as hot into a scene. Maybe you go into a scene that has nothing to do with temperature play, but you think, it'd be kind of fun to have some freezing nips right now, right? So
I would like something very cold on my clitoris immediately.
exactly.
Immediately.
Done.
Done. Runs to get Jade Roller out of the freezer. Tell me a little bit about the box we're about to get. We're about to get the edging box.
Yeah, delay and obey.
Delay and obey. So what are we?
love
What are
the
we in?
name.
I do too. What are we in for?
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to.
I'll say
sneak
it's a lot of it's in its name.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Delay and
All
obey.
right. Fantastic. I can't
Who's
wait.
coming up with these names for
Yeah.
the boxes?
Oh, okay. So
They're so good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
fun fact, we started out doing, I think Sense and Sensuality was our first box ever. And I think I just threw out that name as it's kind of like Sense and Sensibility or whatever, right? and it just kind of stuck and people were like, cool. So every box will be a
I love it.
word
Right.
thing.
I'm here for alliterations and
I'm ready to burst a bubble.
no.
We're changing all of the names. But they're now, I
Why,
think, because this was another me thing, though. Don't worry. We were talking about as future scenes started coming in, it started almost feeling a little bit too cheesy.
I hear you.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
that makes sense.
Because we were like, well,
A little
okay.
cliche almost.
Well, and we were also like 3 words per box. We're gonna run out of fucking words
Yep, that's a
to
good
like
point.
do riffs on. Like,
Good point.
so I was like, what if we went super minimalist hot?
Oh.
And so playing with fire is now heat.
Oh.
Yeah, sense and sensuality is now sense.
Okay.
Delay and obey is now crave.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
like that.
I'm excited. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry I didn't trust you for 5 seconds, Nicholas.
I converted you
I
to a new
resent.
follower again. Okay, cool.
I rescind my previous statements and I'm very excited. Tell us just a couple of things if you can, if you have anything that you can tell us that's going to be for the new people who are going to be signing up for Arya once this episode releases, because you should all be fucking doing this and using my code WYP15 to get a fucking discount on this shit, because holy crap, get in here before the getting's good. What can we expect from Arya in the next year?
Oh my gosh, so much. We are in the middle of doing our redoing our interface, so it's going to become a lot more dynamic. There's going to be a lot more different types of content included in it. So right now you have playlists and erotica and stuff like that. You can anticipate audio erotica now. You can anticipate
yay.
podcast style interviews with experts on the topics that you're learning about. You can expect a lot more video guidance as well as written out guidance. We have started shipping out cards with each box, so you can start collecting a deck of cards of different toys and play styles
that's
and kind of like do
fantastic.
games in that sense.
Yeah.
We're looking to expand our offerings in terms of products you can add to your box. So let's say that you see what's
nice.
coming up and you're like, this is great. And we say, if you want, you can also include this, and we'll ship that with your box too.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to further customize even sort of those items that you're getting. And then just in terms of scenes, we just got done with an offsite where we planned out another 15 to 20 scenes coming out in the next like 6 months. So
Is there any chance for people to play alone?
So we are looking at expanding our what we're calling a solo route option. Right now, both partners do not have to be on this platform.
Right.
So like you can be the only one filling out the survey, kind of putting in information, getting the curation system. It works better if you have both of you on there because we can curate to both of your needs and we have measures in our algorithm to account for that. But let's say that you just want to go on a path of self-betterment and you kind of want to like, I don't know, explore this in your dating life. You don't necessarily have a partner.
Yeah.
It definitely works for that. I think that we're trying to expand that as we go forward and really give a totally new experience, whether you are in a relationship or whether you're single. And that's something that we're constantly toying around with. And it's just a matter of when and not if.
Yeah, fantastic. So we are going to wrap it up, but I'm sad to do so because there's so much more I could possibly talk about.
I know,
this.
like,
I'm like, when are you flying back here?
Yeah, when are we doing episode 2, episode 3?
We are just the moment we started working, you know, to like be part of the Arya community. We knew it was something that we wanted to feature on What's Your Position, because this is the exact kind of thing that we want to promote and we want to be a part of. And I can absolutely 1000% with my entire saying it with my chest. Everybody should be expanding their sexual palette and trying new things and getting outside of their head as well as outside of the box. And Arya is an excellent fucking way to do that. It holds your hand
Right.
and it makes you feel safe and seen and heard, understood, and it gives you every single box to check: safety, security, consensuality, music. Thanks, Athena. Content, erotica, toys that are approved by sexologists, ways to talk to your partner and broach the conversation, starters, stoppers, safe words. I don't know if I could be more jacked about a fucking product, and the fact that you physically came here to talk to us about it means more.
So fucking much, by the way.
Yeah, no, it was
so much.
We were
That's
like,
fucking cool.
oh my God. I got the email. I was like, oh my God.
Babe,
He's
coming here. And I was like, what?
Can you guys believe? We were like shook.
The fucking text messages between the three of us were like,
we're like, oh,
we kept calling you
God.
Daddy Arya.
Oh my God. Wow. I don't know
Daddy
if I'm
Arya's
old
coming.
enough to qualify as a daddy yet, but I will take it. I serve that energy.
We also called you Mr. Arya. Mr. Arya's
I'll
coming.
take
Mr. Arya's
that.
coming.
I'll take that. You have been so sweet. This has been such a fun time, and I'm happy to hop on a plane from New York and cross country for you
Oh my
any
God.
old time.
We'll
Just let me
definitely have to have
know.
you back on one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love you so much. Please tell our listeners where they can find you and Arya.
Okay, so Arya, pretty self-explanatory. Arya.fyi. Check us out. We also have lots of social pages that are aria.fyi.
It's really easy.
You got it pretty down pat.
Pretty simple.
On my end, I'm also on social and on the internet. I go by Mind on Love. That's mind like the brain on love.
Sociologist.
And
Like it.
you know, it's a little psychologist and sociologist over here. So check me out on Instagram. It's mind_on_love or something. And then on TikTok, it's just Mind on Love. And my website's mindonlove.com. Pretty unilaterally easy to
Right.
That's
exactly.
smart. That's good branding.
It's a good branding. It's good branding. We try to do the same. You can find us at What's Your Position Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us at What's Your Position Podcast at gmail.com should you have any questions, comments, or concerns. You can also call us or text us at 513-69696, although no one fucking does it, so I might get rid of this phone number at some point. But if you wanted to call
Nobody
us and
calls.
text us,
Nobody
you
uses the
absolutely
phone
fucking
anymore.
I'll
could.
start
Everybody
calling.
texts.
You should. Just start calling and leaving us prank calls.
Like middle of the
messages.
Leave me messages on Arya's concierge. I'll tell her and leave you some.
Please check out Arya. Use our code WYP15 to get yourself 15% off and check out this amazing and revolutionary way to spice up, jack up, make better, or even just enhance your romance, a sex life, and intimacy with yourself and with your partners. We love you so much, humans. Remember, as always, to stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
Fruit gets ripe and it's love. Bites and angels sing up above. It's never enough just to say your love. Stay. Fruit gets ripe and it's love. Bites and angels like to get rough. Juice and now when it gets too much, you need to make me love. Stay. You need to make me love, stay down. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. You need to make me love, stay. Slipping back into happiness 'cause you give me more time to live a life that seems like mine. You make me drowsy with delight, and I'm slipping back into feeling best 'cause you are so damn fine. And I'll skip into the sunlight with you and skip back at midnight.
What's Your Position podcast represents the opinions of Ashley Weller and her guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is intended for education and entertainment purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of error. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
Least we go.